Welcome everyone to another CTC Software webinar. My name is Sean Zerbis, the Director of BIM Development here at CTC Software, and today we're going to continue the HIVE CMS User Learning Series by talking about how you can request more content from the HIVE CMS admins at your company. This is actually the fifth in the series, and there's plenty more to come, so certainly be sure to subscribe or take a look at our events page, but also subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get access to these very easily after the fact and review on how to do a lot of these tasks. So let's kind of talk a bit about what we're going to discuss today. There's a lot of times when I'm looking through content at my company and I'm searching for something and I don't find it. I don't always find exactly what I'm looking for, and I'm going to give you an example of this in a minute here. But when you cannot find what you need, we really need to know how we can cleanly and easily ask for more in a consistent way. So we're going to talk about how to do that today. We're also going to talk about how to look at other requests from other people at the company, because sometimes maybe somebody's already kind of requested what you're looking for and you can simply upvote it or kind of watch when that particular request gets done and then be notified when that has all been handled. Okay, so we're going to talk about that today. We're going to cover a couple of very specific topics. We're going to talk about how to how to submit requests in the first place, like where do you even go to do this? We're going to talk about some of the request kind of criteria as well. But then also, how do you update something that you've submitted? Maybe somebody asked for more information from the admin team and you need to provide more data, or you want to change the request a little bit with some more detail. How do you do that? We are going to take a look at how you can vote and subscribe to the requests that have submitted by other people on your team, in your company, and also how to get notified when your request is complete. How do you actually know that it's done? So we'll talk about that. That's actually the simplest of all the topics. As always, our webinars are recorded. And also, as always, if you have questions about this topic while we're going through it, we encourage you in this live webinar to pose those questions. And we love kind of interacting with them. So if you have any questions, let us know, and we will definitely go through them with you. So with that, let's go through this in a live environment. I'm not big on death by PowerPoint, so we're going to go through this live in the HIVE environment. And then first off, we're going to talk about how do you submit requests? Where do you go? What does it look like? What is that experience? And we're going to talk about a couple of specific details here. So I have HIVE already opened here, and in the HIVE CMS, I'm signed in as my end user, my designer Joe Demo here is signed in, and Joe has the ability to submit requests or add a request. In fact, you'll find the button for this over here on the left. There's the add request button right here. Now, why might you want to use this? Let's go through a simple little example here. I'm going to run a search real quick here at the top. We've talked about searching in previous sessions already. So what I want to do here is just kind of run a quick search so you can kind of see one little example here. I'm going to search for Price. Now, Price is a building product manufacturer. They make VAV boxes, air terminals, things like that for the HVAC space. What I'm noticing here is I'm not finding anything that's Price related. Maybe I want to further kind of isolate this here, Price plus VAV maybe, running a very specific search, and I'm not finding anything at all. Well, when I get nothing, maybe I want to ask for this from my team. Now, I might spend some time going and finding something from the internet, and maybe I include this in my request, but first, let's just submit a request that I need more, I want Price's VAV componentry. So I'm going to go ahead and use this add request button right here. Now, quick note about this. Your BIM admins can control where this button points. If you already have your own internal request system, then your experience might look differently than the one I'm going to show today. But this is still the button that you can use in HIVE to submit a request to that system as well if the BIM admins have pointed your HIVE environment to it. In my case, I'm going to be demonstrating today the native HIVE workflow using the HIVE portal. And so when I click add request here, because this is the first time I've done that and I haven't signed into the website as Joe before, I'm going to need to sign in once here. Now, after you've signed in once, you probably will never need to sign in again unless you clear your browser's history. But I'm going to go ahead and sign in as this user, demo at CTC Express Tools in my case. And since my credentials are already stored in my web browser, it makes it quick and easy, but normally it would just be your email address and your password and you're signed in. And from this point forward, when you hit the request button, it'll actually bring you directly to the requests page. In my case, because I had to sign in, it pointed me to the home page, but you'll normally be pointed here directly to requests. Now you can see in the past, long ago in a different browser probably, Joe has already submitted a few requests, some of which are pending, some got rejected over here, some are new, some are kind of in progress right now. But right now our goal is to create a new request, and I'll come back and talk about some of the status of these in a moment here. So I'm on my requests in the requests page, and I want to post a new request. So what I'm going to do is hit this create button right here. There's a few things that are required for this to go through, and I'm going to talk about these fields so you can know what to expect with requests here. In the subject line, you have to give some kind of a subject. So maybe I want to put something like price VAV boxes needed. Okay, so I want to put that in there as my subject. Now my priority for this maybe is low in this case because perhaps I've gone and found my own VAV box. That's great. I can use that for now, but this needs to make its way into the system by the next time that I want some of these. Or maybe it's a little bit higher priority. I might put this at medium in this case to kind of let them know, like, I need this sooner than later, but it's not like I needed it yesterday, okay? There's a third priority here, high priority, then requires that you put like a date by which this is needed. So perhaps I need this by like middle of next week or something. I mean, please, guys, it's important. Give your BIM admins a little bit of heads up if you can. Like telling them it's needed by tomorrow is going to set a bad expectation that you're going to get it tomorrow because you probably aren't. But it depends on their workload, of course. But if you can give them a week or so, or 2 weeks, that's great. But when you do choose high priority, it is required that you give a deadline for when you really need this by. Depending on how you're using Hive, you may know which libraries this belongs in. You may not, and that's okay. This is not a required field, but if you do have an idea of like where you would expect to find this, maybe you want this like in your MEP library. Great. You can just choose that as one of the destinations for which library you feel this is appropriate for. And then also, it's a really good idea down here to give some kind of a description. And I'm going to come back to these middle areas right here. But give some kind of a description about what it is you're looking for. Looking for X product line from price, C attachments. And maybe you're going to give some cut sheets about that. Maybe you want to give some more details about functionality. Maybe this is specifically single duct, inline VAVs or something, whatever, right? Like, so you can give some extra details here if you need to, and it's really a good idea to do that so that the BIM management team has an idea of what you're looking for, especially if you're giving a deadline. The last thing you want to do is just be like, well, I need price content. Well, great, like there's a huge amount of content that could be there. So be a little bit specific here, especially if you're giving deadlines. It's just a good idea. Now, many of us work nowadays in multi-unit environments. And so if this is needed on a specific kind of project, and maybe your company works in both metric and imperial, or imperial, like one or the other, right? So it might be a good idea to specify for your administration, like what units of measure, what kind of project type you're expecting this to be in. If you always work in metric or you always work in imperial, who cares? Doesn't matter. Your team's going to automatically assume that. But if there's some specifics that you need for whatever reason, it's usually a good idea to specify one, the other, or both for your units of measure. And if perhaps you already have a piece of content that's in Hive that perhaps is completely wrong and you want to submit a request about that, it would be a good idea to give the name of that. This is actually a bit of future functionality. If you, in the future, you'll be able to right-click a piece of content and make a request about it, and it'll actually auto-append the file name for that particular family or file that you're finding in Hive. For right now, if you have one, you can certainly put that in there if you want to. The most important part about this, especially if you said something like see attachments, is to provide some attachments. So perhaps I went to Price's website and I got a couple of cut sheets that describe the VAV boxes that I want, or perhaps I have that and maybe even a family from them or a family from some other source. It's a good idea to attach that. Maybe you're making a request about block content for Civil 3D. Fantastic. If you've got some blocks that you'd like to see available in the Hive space, make sure you attach them so that the BIM management and CAD management teams know exactly where they are, because you've attached them right here. It's right a part of the request. Ultimately, when you're done with this, and this, by the way, when I click on this, will bring up a browser to look for files. Okay, so you can attach whatever it is you want. Maybe in this case, I'm just going to attach a basic logo in this case. So it'll attach that PNG, or maybe there's, again, PDFs or Revit families or DWG blocks or whatever. Ultimately here, I can click Save. And when I save this, it's going to create a request. It's going to mark it as new. And depending on which library I've chosen, if I've chosen a library, it will notify that library manager and your BIM management team or CAD management team that there's a new request that they should be taking a look at. Fantastic. So they get notified. So I've just submitted a brand new request. Now in the future, if I decide that I need to add to it, I may very well want to know how to update my request. So how do I go about the process of updating something that I've already submitted? I mean, once again, you can just go here to the add request. This actually just brings you to the requests portal. And either way, it's going to bring you right back to this requests area right here. And any request that you've submitted, you'll note this little pencil right here, this edit request option. So if I realize I have some more information about the Price VAV boxes, maybe I want a specific model number by that date, I can simply hit that pencil. I get access to all of the original content from my request, and maybe I want to put in model number 12345 or whatever that case might be. So very easy for you to get back in and simply edit a request to provide more detail. And there's times when you may need to provide more detail. I mean, BIM admins and you can comment and have conversations about your requests. If I expand my request out, there's a little chain here of comments that we can go kind of back and forth on. If I go into this particular request here, perhaps I want to put in something else about also, please include model 56789 or something, right? So I can post that particular request there, or that particular kind of comment, and then the BIM management team can see that in the details about this particular request as well. They can also comment back, perhaps asking for more information, maybe looking for an attachment that you said you were going to include that you didn't. And when these comments get added, you can get notified about those comments as well. In fact, the best way to get notified constantly about a particular request is to make sure that you're watching that request. There's a little eyeball right here. And by default, you get notified when status changes happen, but if you want to get notified like when details change or comments happen about a request, you can simply hit this little eyeball right here, and you are then watching that request. So that way, you can get more notifications about what's going on with your request beyond just a status change, which you get anyway, okay? All right, so what about other people's requests? What if you want to see information about other requests that perhaps have been added here? There's the ability for you to vote and to subscribe to notifications on other requests if you want. So how do you do that? Well, once again, back here in the requests portal, if you go to all requests, see, so far we've been focusing exclusively on my request being the one, the user that I'm signed in as. Well, maybe I want to see more about other requests that have come through. I've asked for price, but maybe there's other content that's been requested that I have interest in, and maybe I want to include my voice on that. So I can look at all of the requests here. And in this request page here, there's other things like, I need a fire hydrant. Well, that was actually me who asked for that. More furniture families for healthcare, right? So Wyatt asked for something, and maybe I think this is a really good thing. Maybe I just want to upvote that. Now, I don't want to watch it. I just want to upvote it. Like, I want to add my voice. Yes, this is important. I think this is good. Great. Somebody else had maybe a request about an air terminal that was added, requested by Sean, right? Maybe, again, I want to upvote that. There's already one vote on it, but maybe I want to upvote it higher. BIM admins have the ability to organize these requests by the popularity of the votes. And so if you want to, kind of get in there and add your voice to this, by all means, go for it. Do that. You can also take a look more deeply, if you care to, at more detail about somebody's request. There's this little information right here, and you can look at the same details they've added, like libraries they think it belongs to. Maybe they've got some high priority stuff going on, some descriptions inside of here. Maybe they've got like a family attachment. So you can see all of that information as well if you really want to dig deep into something. But generally, the title and the description is usually enough. The library information sitting right here as well. So you can kind of see more about that. Now, if you wanted to get notified about some of these, like up here where that fire hydrant was, you need that fire hydrant for whatever the reason happens to be. Now, that's mine again. Let me go to the one. Where was it here? New air terminal by Sean. That's a good one. So if I wanted to maybe be notified when this is actually done, whatever that air terminal happens to be and whatever attachments maybe Sean has put on that, I want to know when this status changes, which looks like it was rejected a while ago. But let's just assume this wasn't. I can watch this request. And when I watch this request, it adds me sort of as an observer of it, and then I get notified when status changes happen to this other person's request. Just like getting more notifications about my own requests, I can get notified about other people's requests as well. So if I have some significant interest in this for whatever reason, I don't have to make my own request. Maybe I just upvote it and watch it so that when it's done, I get notified that it's ready to go, right? So this is all available here natively in the HIVE requests system. And again, caveat on this, if your company has pointed the requests button from the HIVE CMS to a different area, you might not see this. But if they have not, then this is the request system that you can absolutely use, assuming it's turned on for you. All right. So, oh, yeah, and by the by, I already talked about the next point here, the notifications, which was that little eyeball. I just forgot to change my slide ahead of time. So you can watch any request. You click on it, the highlighted eye without the slash going through it, that means you are, in fact, watching it. Okay, so I'm watching this request right here, and then I get notifications about that request whenever something changes for it. So nice little powerful system here built in directly to the HIVE CMS. Once again, you go here to add request. It'll bring you directly to the requests portion of the HIVE portal, and you have the ability with your own requests to create requests. You have the ability to take a look at all of the requests, upvote, watch if you need to, and also you have the ability to manipulate your own any way that you need. So nice little powerful system there. What I want to do at this point is I want to open this up for any questions that you may have. I did not see any questions roll through while we were talking about the requests system in the first place, and that's perfectly fine, but I'm going to hang out here for a few minutes and answer any questions that you may have about this system right now. And for those of you, and I know there's usually quite a few that do this, for those of you who are going to jet and leave our presentation right now, that's fine. I want to say thank you. We always appreciate, when you show up live and participate with us in these discussions. We certainly hope to see you in future HIVE User Learning Series webinars. But for those of you who are going to, perhaps pose a question or have interest in any questions that may be coming through, go ahead and feel free to ask them. I mentioned last time in one of my webinars that I probably should get some like Jeopardy music to play in the background, but I don't have that right now, so you just get to listen to dead air unless any questions come through. Okay, so then there was a question that just did show up. The question is, what types of files can be uploaded as attachments for requests? And that's a great question. The answer is any kind of file extension can be posted as an attachment. There's no limitation for that. So when you're in here creating a request or editing your request and you're going to put an attachment on, you can attach literally any kind of file. There is There's no need to like worry about being limited by something. Anything can get posted. The BIM admins are the ones who are going to try and download this stuff. They're responsible enough to know if something could be a problem. So you can technically post pretty much anything to this environment. I do not recommend posting things like executables because that's not usually helpful in this space. Usually it's going to be like data type files, documents, PDFs, maybe text files, Revit families, AutoCAD block files, DWGs, DWTs, things like that. Those types of files are certainly completely unrestricted. So go for it, attach away, provide obviously detailed information about descriptions here. All right. Any other questions coming in? I'm not seeing anything else at the moment. So with that, I'm going to once again, oh, hang on, there was one. Is there an ability through the management portal to actually export this? Well, we did talk about this a bit in the management webinar that we had just last week, actually. That's already posted to our channel. We talked about this a bit, but yes, you can actually get some of these reports. And if you want more information about how to do that, I encourage you to contact us on the side, contact our support, contact us, and we can certainly help you with those reporting aspects. There's also another admin learning series webinar coming up talking specifically about reporting. So if you are a HIVE admin, I would encourage you to sign up for that to understand even more about how you can get more reporting power out of the HIVE space. All right. Again, not seeing any other questions show up yet right now, so we're going to go ahead and shut this down for today. And again, thank you all for the questions that you have asked, and we do look forward to seeing you in future webinars. Have a fantastic day.